Para isso, convido ao palco Pavel Cardoso, presidente da ABIC, Associação Brasileira da Indústria do Café. Cyrille Jannet, diretor executivo da Keurig Trading. Convido também o senhor Francisco Gomes, presidente Ficou Café. E para mediar este painel, Carlos Santana Júnior, diretor-comercial da EISA, Empresa Interagricola S.A. e vice-presidente da Associação Comercial de Santos. Um bom painel a todos.
Olá, boa tarde a todos. Eu queria começar primeiro pedindo desculpa pelo estresse que alguns dos senhores viveram junto comigo. Eu tenho certeza que o estresse para vocês foi ainda maior do que o meu. E agradecer pelo carinho. Eu recebi várias mensagens na própria noite, como no dia seguinte. E, de alguma maneira, me sinto na obrigação de explicar rapidamente o que aconteceu. Como alguns dos senhores sabem, eu tenho como hobby fazer maratona. Eu sempre falo que o processo mais difícil, mais desafiador de uma maratona é a preparação, mais do que a própria maratona em si. E como eu estou na fase final da preparação para uma maratona, eu venho rodando um pouco mais de 60 a 70 quilômetros por semana. Infelizmente, vacilei na nutrição, e aí vocês viram o que aconteceu. Depois eu fiz o segundo erro, tentando demonstrar uma certa resiliência. Voltei ao palco. Então, o primeiro erro foi vacilar na nutrição. O segundo erro foi não escutar a mensagem do meu corpo. Então, de novo, mais uma vez, mil desculpas e obrigado por todas as mensagens que eu recebi. Antes de passar a palavra e iniciar o nosso painel de consumo, eu queria comentar algo que a Associação Comercial está muito satisfeita com o formato desse seminário. No sentido que ficou muito claro para nós que em todos os painéis, o grande desafio, na verdade nós temos diversos desafios, né? Ficou claro no painel dos CEOs o desafio que nós temos de supplyability. Ficou claro também todo o desafio logístico que a cadeia está enfrentando no momento. Certamente no painel regulatório também ficou claro o desafio que nós teremos para frente do que é a elevação do nível regulatório do nosso setor. E a solução passa exatamente pelo que foi o formato desse seminário. O formato que permitiu o diálogo, né? Então, esse formato permite que atende o respeito para quem quer escutar um palestrante, para quem entende que aquela informação é importante, mas também permite para todo o network, para todo o diálogo que é importante para que a gente siga melhorando. Né? O Hugo foi muito feliz agora há pouco em falar que os problemas existem, né? Mas os problemas estão aí para serem resolvidos. Dando início agora ao nosso painel, nós tínhamos como um dos convidados o senhor Giuseppe Lavazza. Infelizmente, ele teve uma emergência e não conseguiu estar aqui conosco hoje, mas teve uma delicadeza incrível e gravou um vídeo que agora nós vamos apresentar. E ele vai passar a sua informação, a sua visão sobre mercado, sobretudo o mercado, o consumo no mercado europeu.
Boa tarde, senhoras e senhores. Antes de tudo, permítame cumprimentá-los em nome de toda a família Lavazza. Infelizmente, devido a outras atividades, não posso estar com vocês pessoalmente, mas quero dar a minha colaboração a esta valiosa discussão. O Brasil sempre foi um país importante para o nosso grupo. É difícil imaginar a Lavazza hoje sem considerar a ligação privilegiada que temos tido com os produtores de café brasileiros ao longo das décadas. O Brasil representa para mim também o primeiro país do café que visitei na minha vida, um lugar ao qual sempre adoro voltar. Esta relação começou em 1934 com a viagem do meu bisavô ao Brasil, uma viagem que marcou o início de uma colaboração duradoura e frutífera. Desde então, a Lavazza tem trabalhado de perto com os produtores brasileiros, compartilhando conhecimento, experiências e uma paixão pelo café. Faço questão de estender os meus cumprimentos aos nossos amigos que aqui presentes, com Flávia Barbosa, relembrando a amizade frutífera entre meu avô e o avô dela, Olavo, e a todos os amigos reunidos hoje para discutir o panorama global do café, começando pelo maior produtor de café do mundo, cuja importância é reconhecida globalmente. Brazil is the leading coffee producer globally, and the quality of Brazilian coffee beans is admired by coffee enthusiasts worldwide. Your dedication to cultivation, harvesting, and processing is fundamental to our industry. At a global level, times for the whole coffee market are indeed very challenging. The current state of the coffee sector presents an unprecedented situation in terms of duration and scale. Arabica prices have surged by 75% since 2021, with a 60% increase just in 2023. Additionally, Robusta quality has seen prices rise by 200% compared to the historical average, a phenomenon intersecting with increased demand worldwide. We are witnessing unprecedented market volatility as seen in recent years. There have been steady average increases, reaching record prices in the early months of 2024. Robusta coffee is at historic heights for various reasons: fluctuations in coffee futures on Wall Street, the impact of extreme weather events, and an unfavorable dollar exchange rate. We all raised the alarm months ago. Climate change, production crisis, and increasing prohibitive transportation costs for raw materials have unleashed a perfect storm. Starting in early 2025, the UDR regulation will come into effect, banning the import and export of products within the European Union that have caused deforestation after December 31, 2020. This regulation mandates the tracking of the entire supply chain, and only 20% of the world's coffee growers will be able to comply immediately. Out of 12.5 million coffee growers, 8 million will face difficulties selling their products in the EU, which alone accounts for 30% of global purchases. This is why many industry associations are urgently appealing to the Commission, arguing that this regulation cannot be implemented all at once. The upcoming European Parliament election held for June 6 to June 9, 2024, could represent a pivotal moment to readdress environmental issues and advance the green transition pragmatically and concretely, ensuring the most appropriate timing and applications, since by now, operational and oversight mechanisms for this legislation have not been yet properly established. Moreover, inflation in the food sector remains a widespread issue across all European markets. Consumption has further slowed in the early months of 2024 as one of the peak effects of inflation. We know that when prices rise, there is initially a resistance to purchasing. It takes time before consumption of that product resumes steadily because of the market's physiological adaptation. In countries like Italy and France, inflation has turned into a political issue, with central measures proposed to manage prices. Moreover, negotiations with the major retail chains have been protracted and complex, but the process has ultimately concluded, though not without its challenges. Examining global market consumption, focusing on 15 geographies that represent our key markets, we observe some established trends. The demand for products with organic and ethical certifications has seen an increase of 2% across the main coffee markets. This surge is particularly pronounced in the UK, Italy, and France, with growth rates of 7%, 6%, and 5% respectively. This trend underscores a growing consumer consciousness towards sustainability and ethical sourcing, reflecting the desire to support environmentally responsible practices and fair trade. Moving on to product segments, capsules have solidified their position as the second largest segment in the industry, accounting for 31% of the market share. This segment has grown by 1.7%, contrasting with the decline of paper pads, which decreased by 1.6%. The capsule's rise can be attributed to its convenience and the variety of flavors it offers, catering to a diverse range of consumer preferences. However, it's the growth of coffee beans that truly encapsulates the consumer's quest for quality and sustainability. The beans development is spread across many geographies, especially in France, Poland, and UK. In Germany, after many years of growth, beans have become the largest segment, more than half of the roast and ground coffee. In a recent study conducted with German consumers of coffee beans, they declared that beans are favored for their freshness, taste, and aroma, offering a superior sensory experience. Moreover, when consumers opt for beans over capsules, they are not only choosing a product that provides better value for money, but also one that significantly reduces packaging waste. This choice is a clear indicator of the increasing importance of sustainability in consumer decision-making. Looking at the away-from-home sector, consumption has generally returned to pre-pandemic levels in most countries, and espresso is on the rise in markets like China, for example. In recent months, Italy has seen a heated debate of the price of a cup of coffee at the bar. This price, much like other food items, depends on numerous factors related to where coffee is consumed, whether in touristic place, in different locations and outlets. In any case, the price of an espresso cup in Italy remains significantly lower than in the rest of the world, despite Italians being considered both the inventors and the largest consumers of this beverage. The vending and office coffee service sectors, with the away-from-home market, have not fully recovered from the impact of 2020 to the present. Due to the rise of remote working and a shift in office presence, this sector has seen an approximate average 20% decrease in their share. However, signs of growth and positive developments are recorded to date. As an upcoming trend in recent years, cold coffee beverages have become increasingly popular in the United States and Canada. Cold brew, which has seen exponential growth over the past decade, remains a widespread trend in the North American coffee industry, especially for millennials and Gen Z. Challenges and opportunities are constant factors in our industry. Well, I'd like to share some closing thoughts on this evolving landscape. World coffee consumption is projected to grow by over 2% according to ICO. Notably, non-producing countries are expected to be the primary drivers of this consumption growth, reflecting coffee's expanding global footprint. This demonstrates that the future of coffee, both in cultivation, processing, and consumption, remains, despite discontinuities, full of potential. We, as players in the coffee industry, must continue to innovate, adapt, and respond to the evolving market conditions. By doing so, we can ensure the prosperity of our industry in the long term and the satisfaction of coffee lovers worldwide. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to our continued collaboration and success.
Poxa, super bacana. Eu acho que o Giuseppe trouxe os desafios da nossa indústria, né, com relação ao fornecimento de café ético, ao fornecimento a questões de embalagem e todo o desafio de atender os novos consumidores. Porém, também trouxe uma mensagem de otimismo, né? Ele vê o consumo seguindo crescendo, o que é uma oportunidade para todos nós, porque, de novo, ficou muito claro no painel dos CEOs que nós possivelmente podemos ter um momento de déficit nessa próxima safra. E falou-se muito sobre a questão do arábica e do robusta, mas o Giuseppe trouxe ainda um outro aspecto. Qual é o percentual do café mundial, de fato, está atendendo aspectos regulatórios e, de fato, estão disponíveis para atender essa crescente demanda de um produtor que precisa entender e deseja saber como que o café foi produzido. Então, acho que foi muito produtiva a colaboração do Giuseppe. Eu queria agora passar a palavra para o Cyrille Jannet. O Cyrille é diretor da Keurig. Depois eu convido vocês a ir em Google. A razão que a gente convidou o Cyrille, além da sua longa experiência no mercado de café, é de que eu sempre falo que a Keurig é uma grande empresa de bebidas e tem um vertical café. Mas eu olho para a Keurig sempre como um beverage company. Então, Cyrille, por favor.
Thank you so much, Carlos, for the kind introductions, and I'm really pleased to be here. And I don't think, before I get into my presentations, I think Carlos should not apologize for what happened. I think on the contrary. Are you listening to me, Carlos? Okay. Okay. So, Carlos, thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you so much. I'm super pleased to be here. And I just want to celebrate the courage and the bravery of Mr. Carlos for being here, back in the stage. You are an inspiring leader of the Brazilian coffee community. I just want to say thank you for invitations and thank you again for being here. Yes, you're an amazing sense. Amazing professional. Thank you for that. Yeah. So now I just want to tell a bit the story about KDP as a beverage company, giving a bit of a beverage perspective. This is a relatively new company, so I thought that might be interesting for all of you just to get a bit of understandings about who we are as a business, and then about diving it, of course, into the coffee category, which is one of the category that the company is embracing as a business, and then getting through a bit more of the power of partnership, which is one of the secret sauce of KDP, how KDP is very different from any other beverage company. And last but not least, a very exciting innovations, which is how we are reinventing the single serve. I think that's going to be really interesting for some of you who haven't seen it yet, because this is a new way for the single serve market. So maybe I can start up, that may be easier for me here. So KDP is a $50 billion company based in the US. We have footprints in Canada, in the US, and in Mexico. And we are number one in many different segments across the board, not only in coffee, in a single serve, and I will get into that in a minute, but also in a flavor CSD, Dr. Pepper, Canada Dry, some other famous brands, in the premium water, in the mixers, in ready-to-drink tea, apple juice. And also we are getting and investing into new market for us, like the sport hydrations and the energy. So as you can see, coffee is $4 billion out of $15 billion. This is not the main business anymore, but coffee is an interesting one because coffee can benefit for all the R&D, all the expertise we have as a cold beverage company. KDP is a new business. Why? Because KDP was created just 5 years ago in 2018 when the pure coffee player, Keurig Green Mountain, acquired Dr. Pepper Staple Group, which was primarily distributing and famous brands on the cold side of the beverage space. So you can see here we have very powerful brands. Here I'm talking about the brand equity of some of the brands. We have 125 brands in our portfolio, which is an amazing breadth of beverages. Dr. Pepper, Keurig, Canada Dry might be the most famous one, but also looking at the $500 million brand equity, we also have very famous brands like 7-Up, AW, C4, Clamato, Mott, Peñafiel in Mexico, Snapple, Squirt also in Mexico, Sunkist, and then some other like Polar, Evian, and then of course we have some very famous coffee brand. I get into that one later on. But I just want you to have a bit of understandings about the breadth of the portfolio we have. Some brands might be owned by the company. Some brands might be licensed. Some brands might be partners. I think this is one of the secret sources of the success of KDP as a brand owner, is to have an amazing portfolio of different brands to meet different needs for the consumers. As a business, we have a purpose, we have a vision, of course. I just want to mention about the purpose, doing well, do good. The purpose is about to enhance experience of every occasions, okay, but which is more important, I think, for us here in Brazil, is about we want to be a force for good as a business. We want to make a positive impact for our people, for the communities and the planet. You can see here on the left-hand side the picture of a Colombian farmers, and we have a social impact project which is running very successfully to have access to potable waters, and we have invested more than $73 million over the last 5 years in different social impact projects. So we really want to making sure that we can leverage the power of all of our brands, and being a force for good as an industry, we feel a co-responsibility in the coffee supply chains and any other supply chains we're also touching, not just coffee. Diving into the coffee category, how does that work? How KDP has been successful in coffee? Since the merge, we have increased household penetrations in the US and Canada by more than 10 million households. Today, we are present in 40 million households in the US and Canada. What does that mean? That means every single day, there is 40 million households, a household is a house, in the US and Canada who are enjoying the Keurig experience. Every single year, we are adding around 2 million households. This is the install base, which gives us access to offer more than 60 different brands of coffee products to our consumers. We believe the job is not yet finished. There is still an amazing opportunity. Looking at the household penetrations we have in Europe versus what we have in the US, this is a primary single-shop systems. There isn't any other single-shop system in the US and Canada. And in the total US, in total Canada, we have around 95 million households. Today, we are present in 40 million households. So we believe there is still a journey to duplicate the market in terms of access to consumers, which is an incredible opportunity. And let's all take a step back. 20 years ago, the single shop in the US and Canada, the Keurig system did not even exist. So in 20 years, we're able to create a market with 40 million households. That's pretty impressive. And also one of why this is so successful, not only because we can address the barrier of entry for those ones who are still enjoying the drip coffee at home, but also because we can offer a consumer the choice between many different brands. And I get that into a minute, which is what we call the power of the partnership. Keurig is not a closed system. Keurig is an open system who's welcoming any other brand to jump into the Keurig system to propose to the consumers a choice. This is absolutely critical. We don't want the consumer to feel entrapped in one single solution. On the contrary, the power of the success is about choice. Today, 50% of the retail value, 50%, 50, at the retail value in the US and Canada is the single-serve market. And Keurig has a market share around 85%. So if you have a Keurig brewer in a household, we have 85% chance that you're going to be consuming one of our K-Cups produced by Keurig. Of course, we also have competitions with private label, non-compatible K-Cups, but for us, it is in our own interest to grow the install base of the Keurig system because we have a massive participations. We are dominating the market, but still we are enjoying also competitions, and we are also trying to do the job to make sure that every single partner understands the value of joining the Keurig. So these are some of the entry barriers that we have identified over the last 2 years after a tremendous consumer insight study to understand what does it take to bring even more consumers into the Keurig systems. And we have, this is some of the main barrier entry that we are tackled through a different range of different brewers. This is not supposed to be a selling pitch. I'm not here to sell brewers. I'm based in Switzerland. I'm in charge for the coffee sourcing, coffee quality, and the risk management. So that's not my pitch. But I just want you to understand what does it take as a beverage business to to attract more consumers who are enjoying a drip coffee at home. We have to think about quality. So we have enhanced our extraction systems. We also think about the batch, because many consumers will still want to enjoy a drip coffee at home. No worries, we have a brewer that you can still brew a cup of coffee with quality, conveniency, and consistency through the Keurig systems, and also still enjoying a drip coffee. There is also the value. And the value, I just to stop here for a second, because today we live in a very interesting environment, inflationary environment, where consumers has to make choice. Consumer has to make choice about in his budget. And we just conducted a very recent study. It was very interesting to understand and see that actually there is a kind of a threshold in the consumer budget. So yes, we're being able to pass on some of the increase of the sea markets and other logistic costs to the consumer to some extent, but we just have to be extremely careful that we are creating value and not destroying value by passing on the high price to the consumer. At the end of the day, the consumer will make the choice. If the Keurig system is too expensive, the consumer will just go back to other systems. I just want to share, a couple of weeks ago, we have one of the most famous, which is also a partner of Keurig systems, coffee chain in the US. They were sharing some of their disappointing sales results. And one of the drivers of having less sales in their coffee shops was basically, hey, it costs today $6 to $7 to go to the coffee shop to have a Frappuccino. And $7, even in the US, even in Canada, who proves to be very resilient economy, is very expensive. What we're trying to do with the Keurig systems is to replicate the away-from-home experience at home with better value. With not only quality, not only consistency, but also value. So I just want to put that in place because the value propositions of the Keurig system is extremely important, especially today in an inflationary environment we are living. Let's all remember that the consumer has a limited budget like all of us, and then is making choice every single day in the coffee segment. Talking about partnerships, so we have three ways of bringing more partnership in our Keurig systems. Organically, these are one of the two famous brands we have, Green Mountain and Donut Shop. Via partnership like McCafe and also Nestle, we are partnering with Nestle, who is our partner to distribute the Starbucks K-Cups. And also through investment, as we just recently invested in a very famous high-scale La Colombe, which wasn't present yet in the Keurig systems. So this is how, through this variety of different business models, we can convince and attract partners to go into the Keurig system, organically, via partnerships or via investments. So this is an example about some of the 75 brands we have in the Keurig systems. We have more than 500 different varieties, so some of the brands might be owned by KDP, some of the brands might be licensed, some of the brands might be partners. And this is what I mentioned before about giving a consumer the choice between different brands. We don't want a consumer to feel entrapped, to feel handcuffed in one single solution. On the contrary, the consumer is here to replicate the experience he may have in a coffee shop or outside of home, at home, with a value, with quality, with consistency, and also with choice. If you want to change between brands or between product within brands, this is the value propositions of Keurig. So there has been a journey to attract all these 75 partners, I can tell you, these 75 different brands, and to create this variety of 500 SKUs and finished products. We started initially by our own brands, and then we kind of follow, I would say, the different ways of coffee. I mean, you can always challenge how we define waves, so let's not get into this description so strict, but just want to share the first wave was more about conveniency, about consistency. That's why I'm mentioning here these the first historical partners who's been Folger, Maxwell House, 8 O'Clocks. And then we move into the coffee chain shop in order to replicate Starbucks, Pete's experience, Caribou experience at home. And then later on, we came with a third wave, which is a bit emphasizing about specialty coffee, about single origins, and also the lighter roast. This is where we're talking about Intelligentsia, La Colombe, Fields Coffee, and more recently we are talking about the last wave, I would say, which is happening as we speak, is more about lifestyle, about celebrities, community brands. Is often driven by social media. Here we have Black and Bold, Rolling Stones, and we just recently launched a new. We have a new ambassador for the Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, one of our iconic brands, with Kevin Costner. So there is a lot about social media, celebrity, and also attracting new consumers who are much more entrapped in this, attracted by these ways of communicating than the classical marketing tool. And this is, for us, a good way to attract the new generations as a new consumer. Last but not least, I'd just like to finish my presentations by present to you the new innovation that Keurig is bringing. And we believe innovation in coffee is extremely important. And this innovation is the result of R&D work done for the last 2 years from the hot side and from the cold sides. We have an R&D center based in Frisco, Dallas, in the US, which is a combination of our best practices and also learnings from the cold side and from the hot sides. And what we are trying is basically reinvent the single shop that was created 20 years ago to address new consumer concerns and interests, and just to show also to the consumers that innovations is also possible in coffee, even in single serve. Yes, so we are taking some risk by launching a complete new product, knowing that we still have 40 million households that we need to serve every day with the K-Cups. But we believe this is the future of the single serve for the next 5 to 10 years, and we'll do a phase. Yeah, let me just stop here, and maybe if we can roll the video, and then take it from there. Thank you.
Coffee. It's literally the first thing I do after I wake up in the morning.
Sort of like a warm hug and a kick in the pants all at the same time.
I'm on now probably my 10th cup today.
There is nothing more universal than coffee. It's a uniting force.
Before Keurig was around, there was one way to make coffee for just about everybody in America: by the pot.
We disrupted the coffee category about 30 years ago. We were the inventors of single-serve coffee.
1 cup at a time, your cup personalized.
Now, we're getting ready to disrupt the category again.
Coffee will never be the same.
Innovation is absolutely essential in coffee because consumers have forever changing taste. They go to the coffee shop to find out what's a new way to enjoy this marvelous drink. And then they look to us here at Keurig to say, how can I bring those ideas to life in my home?
We talk to thousands and thousands of consumers, and we look to social media to understand the emerging trends. So by the time the consumers realize that they have that need, we have a product for them.
That relentless focus on the consumer's needs is all about convenience, variety, and quality.
Quality is critical, and quality starts with the plant.
As a scientist, the expertise we bring is essentially to find the coffees from different origins that will bring the taste consumers are looking for.
We are buying coffee from more than 20 different coffee regions in the world because we know the consumers, they are looking for to embrace customizations, new taste, new flavors.
We're pushing it further and further and further into the science, all in service of the coffee.
Several years ago, we said, what's stopping us from delivering the next level?
And one of the biggest constraints we've always had has been the packaging itself.
And that's when we said, start from scratch. Don't be constrained by anything. Because if you want to be the source of coffee in everyone's household, then you have to reimagine yourself.
Thank you. So this is just a reflections about how we can provide a new coffee solutions. And again, sorry for the selling pitch. I'm not here to sell the new systems. I just want to share, super proud to be part of a company who's looking forward, who's thinking about innovations, who's just found a solutions after 3 years of intense research to be plastic free, which is also putting back, I would say, coffee itself. So then we won't need anymore the packaging. So it was going to be coffee compacted that will provide to the consumers espresso, filter coffee, and cold beverage. For the time being, today, the Keurig systems, the K-Cups, is only providing filter coffee, which is a predominant way of brewing coffee in the US. It does not provide an espresso experience. It does not provide a cold experience, or you can have it with the specific brewers. So the idea is to propose with a plastic-free, aluminum-free, with no packagings, these 3 different ways of brewing the coffee, and even it's going to be compatible for the K-Cups, for those who are still enjoying K-Cups and they can't afford or they don't want to switch right now to the new systems. And also, which is really interesting, I think, for all of us here, is putting back at the center of the product, which is the coffee product. There is no packaging anymore. You have seen on the video they were showing about the coffee farming, about this is the product that's going to be compostable, certified compostable, so you can put it back, the puck, which is coffee compress, back in your compost. And this is where the originations, or where the coffee is coming from, is also taking a new dimensions in the Keurig propositions. You know, just to finish my pitch here about Brazilian's coffee is present in more than 70% of every single SKUs we sell today as a K-Cups. It shouldn't change. On the contrary, within the K-Round solution that will be tested during the fall and then will be launched in 25 and 26 gradually. But Brazil is a key origin for us. We use Brazil in the majority of our blends. So I just want to finish my pitch by saying I'm very pleased to be here, very pleased to tell the story about Keurig a bit. Sorry for the selling pitch again. That wasn't the intent. It's just to show the perspective from the beverage company. How do we see coffee and where we believe is the future of single serve. And thank you for the invitation again, Carlos.
Obrigado, Cyrille. Fascinante. Eu tive a chance hoje de tomar um café da manhã com o Cyrille, com o time dele. É sempre uma oportunidade fantástica de aprendizado. E eu tentei explorar um pouco esse momento para falar um dos dilemas da indústria. A gente abordou bastante isso no painel dos CEOs, que é essa migração do consumo de arábica para o robusta. Os dados da nossa empresa mostram que nos países consumidores essa mudança vem ocorrendo de uma forma muito lenta, né? Colocando aí um pouco em percentual, os nossos dados apontam uma migração na casa de 44% a 45% de uso de robusta para hoje, para um uso em torno de 42%, 41%. E o Cyrille e o time dele me lembrou isso, né? E a apresentação a todo momento fala desse olhar com o consumidor, né? Eu falei, olha, as coisas numa empresa da nossa magnitude, e a gente está muito focado no B2C, nós precisamos escutar o cliente, né? Então, são jornadas focadas em inovação, sim, mas com um olhar muito atento ao cliente, ao consumidor final. Então, obrigado pela mensagem. Eu queria aproveitar, Cyrille, você falou bastante no segmento de ready to drink, e eu queria aproveitar e fazer uma rápida pergunta. The market is seeing an incredible move in the arbitrage between Robusta and Arabica prices. We could even assume that the increase in the world consumption Robusta quality was the start of the recent price move. And now we are all somewhat surprised to see that the tight arbitrage environment remains despite historically high prices. Can we assume that some of the ready-to-drink products, from the taste point of view, request a high usage of Robusta?
Yes, it is true that the ready-to-drink is using the Robusta in a higher percentage maybe than more traditional beverages. But I would say we just have to be super, always think about the consumer and the choice he's going to make. So quality has to be the first equations whenever you launch a new product. And yes, Robusta in terms of extractions, and I think here we have better expert than me about how you can better use Robusta in a ready-to-drink. I'm not the expert here in the room, but it's more about that might drive some consumptions. But what we have to be super careful is about providing a solution which brings quality, which brings innovations in the ready-to-drinks, and La Colombe is a good example, and also conveniency, but also price. Let's not forget about the value. So from an industry perspective, let me give you a broader answer. From the resiliency perspective, yes, we need to include, I think, Robusta a bit more in our blends, not just in the ready-to-drink actually, also in other beverages, because Robusta is also right now we are living an interesting momentum with the Robusta squeeze, like was mentioned yesterday in a CEO panel, and the price is getting all over the places. But from the long-term perspective, having the optionality to pick and choose between different variety, I think is very important from an industry anyway. And Robusta, ready to drink, might drive an interesting demand for the Robusta. As far we are delivering a product with quality, which is convenience, and also which is pricings in affordable. I mean, the affordability and the value is today a very important piece of the equations in the inflationary environment we are living today. Is not ready to drink as such doesn't do the job. Yes, you just have to make sure that you have a right brand positionings, the right pricing strategy, because affordability is super important. So just to be transparent here about KDP, last year we suffered a negative sales for the very first times in our journey in terms of, and that was more the price driven, because we took some pricings to our retailers, we have to pass on some cost, and the market reacted negatively. We realized that for some of our consumers, well, they have a budget like all of us, and they can't afford to pay higher prices. So now we changed completely our pricing strategy. Now we are back on track at the beginning of 2024, but we have to rethink globally about the consumer has also his own constraint in terms of making choice. It's a question of quality, question of consistency and conveniency, but also question of cost.
Thank you. Antes de eu passar a palavra para o Francisco, eu gostaria de comentar, escutando o cliente, como foi um requisito de vocês, os senhores, nós vamos permitir que algumas perguntas sejam encaminhadas. Nós vamos estar projetando o QR Code, já está aqui. Então, sinta-se à vontade, vai depender um pouco do tempo do painel, mas certamente o time da organização vai estar selecionando as perguntas. Francisco, por favor.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Carlos, for the invitation. First, it's a truly honor for me and for the company I represent to be here, and also with my colleagues. It's a very impressive, Cyrille, this presentation. So thank you for that. You have brought, a vehicle to deliver a very good coffee at home and away from home. So very impressive. So don't apologize. It was very nice, the presentation, I have to say. Second is just to mention really quick, about why Cold Cafe is here. We are a company that is based in Colombia, but we're becoming a global company little by little, step by step. I would say that 50% of our sales are happening today in North America, so we have an important base there, and 50%, or let's say 40% are happening around Latin America. We have also some presence in Asia, both with brands, because we are a brand company, let's say that, and ingredients, because we want to be ahead of the curve. We have ingredients that are present in some of the most important brands in the world, and we want to bring differentiation to the soluble coffee world. We are a roast and ground coffee company and a soluble coffee company, and we are bringing innovation to these, let's say, to these different parts of the world. Related to this, also, I was thinking, what should I bring to you? What should I bring, that can add value to who we are here? So let's think, if you talk about brands and you are talking Latin America, you start thinking, if you are in an emerging country with a lot of income inequalities, what would you do? How would you bring solutions to these consumers that they want, and something new? And we need to increase coffee consumption because we see Brazil, we respect it and we admire what Brazil has done, but we need to do still a better job in our countries. How we develop that, that's one of the key questions that we've been trying to answer, for a long time. But more than that, of course, this is going to bring pressure to the supply chains, but that's okay. Our job is to create demand. So we see this with the eyes of the consumer, and I hope, I can leave you with some questions or some questioning so we can try to answer this by ourselves in the future. First of all, if you think of this, and the messages that I want to leave here in this slide is there is growth up to 2023 in the countries where we are, if you're talking about emerging countries, and especially if you talk about Latin America. In this slide, in Latin America, Brazil is included, because the second message is there is an income inequality, and we have, of course, lower income, compared to the developed countries. Of course, if you don't include Brazil in that yellow circle there, for sure, it's going to come down more. So those are the challenges, how we bring to our consumers products and innovation that can solve, their requests. So that's one point. But second is consumption is growing. This is in value, but definitely volume up to 2023 was still growing. And 2024 is, let's say, a transition year. But the other message that I want to leave across here is that this is a long-term business. And we are here for the long term, as all the companies do. So the second slide shows sales growth or demand growth up to 2028. This means it's going to keep growing. And companies like ours are driving or drivers to try to grow this demand. This is very important to say here, because one thing, and when you speak and when you listen to the CEO's panel, is we are here in the long term, one message, but second is we're doing everything we can to make sure that our consumers are getting the best out of our facilities. And I don't know if a new price increase is going to help. Elasticity, I would say, is over. Any increase in prices is going to hurt demand in a big way, and that's something that we have to keep developing and understanding. What can we bring to the consumers that is competitive, especially in the countries where we are. If you see this coffee in Latin America, and because the other two were hot drinks, coffee is a very important part of our daily lives. And if you see Brazil and all the countries below are growing, and these are origin countries, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, we are all growing, and we have grown. And Brazil is taking, of course, the main portion of this growth, and it's very important. But also you see how Mexico, Argentina, and Colombia, which account for more than 250 million people there, they are also growing. So this is also very important for the coffee community. How, again, we are going to solve their needs. So this is very important because that's part of what makes us, be motivated, to continue in this business and to keep growing what we have. Let's say that in this one, this is also important because there are preferences by country. And we talk about North America, how Keurig, has developed this program, which is impressive. But if you go from Mexico, Central America down there, and South America, and you have Brazil there are preferences and habits that the people are following as their daily consumption. So the dark red is soluble consumers or soluble consumers of countries. Soluble countries of consumption, and the light red is roast and ground consuming countries, which we have Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina, for instance, there. And this is very important because when you imagine, and let's take Southeast Asia, they have 650 million people there, and they drink coffee mixes. So companies dictate the products that they are drinking. But here is different, when you are in these countries. Either you drink soluble coffee or you drink roast and ground coffee. You want to customize your cup. You want 80% of the people put sugar, creamer, or milk in their products. So we want to customize more. In Asia, it's different. They want, something more homogeneous. So that's something important and bear in mind, because this is bringing new trends. Freeze-dry coffee is here to stay, and we have seen that in the past, how other countries, Russia, for instance, and other countries in Eastern Europe, they were changing, from powder to freeze-dry and to other, let's say, forms of consumption. So this is very important. But what can we do also with roast and ground coffee? That's one of the challenges that I want to mention here. This one is Colombia, hot drinks in Colombia. And why we're here, to keep answering that question. We have more than 40% market share in Colombia. We are very important in the neighboring countries, in the Andean community. We have facilities and the number 2 brand in Chile as well. And we are present in probably 30 countries in the Americas. So that's why we're here, and we are seeing growth. In all the brands in Colombia, we are seeing growth. But let's keep asking ourselves where we should be, which is very important. So because if you include Brazil, we have more than 600 million people in this part of the world. So it's almost like Southeast Asia. So we have to keep thinking what we should do to bring people to these consumers, how we increase market penetration, what type of innovations we have to bring to these different income levels that we have. So we have to think first of commercial coffees, mainstream coffees. That's very important. In Colombia, that account for 90% of the consumption. Second is how we unlock the premium market. That's very important. People are ready to pay. Not everyone, but there are a lot of people that are paying for that now. And we have to bring that to them. In Colombia, less than 10% is premium coffee. Can you believe that? It's hard to believe, if you think of that, but we have the income inequalities. And third is we have to bring innovation. You mentioned Cyrille, probably 1/3 of the consumption in home, if I'm not mistaken, is cold coffee, about 30%. I will show the statistics in Colombia, which is much lower than that. So we need more innovation to bring to the people. This one talk about mainstream. And if you can see the red, the dark red in the slide, in the different countries, because we have Brazil there, we have Mexico, we have Colombia, for instance. Hard and soft discounters are now delivering a value proposition that people are definitely very interested in that. They are, of course, developing their products or their portfolio with their own private labels. And this is needing or requiring the lowest end of our green coffees, let's say in Colombia, Brazil, or wherever we are. And this is creating a challenge because supermarkets, as also Giuseppe mentioned it, they dictate. And this is something that we have to cope with that, if you own a national or regional brand. So hard discounter, soft discounter, and supermarkets. Mom and pops or traditional channels are, of course, impacted. But this is something that anyways, we have to be creative to be able, to serve all of them in the countries where we are. So this is something that is very important to take into account. Private labels are now becoming very important part of this. 25% of market share in Colombia now they have. Second is how we unlock the potential of the premium coffees. Less than 10% of the market in Colombia is premium. If you go to neighboring countries, it's something similar. So what can we do? We have to be competitive. We have to bring innovation. We have to bring accessibility to these products. We have this, and we are very proud of this because we have the largest premium brand in Colombia now. It took us probably about 7 years, and we did it. And it is growing at more than 20% year on year. And this is something that is very important, and we are bringing sustainability as the essence of this brand. So people are understanding that, and people are consuming more. And we are teaching them this. So as soon as the country keeps growing economically, definitely we are going to have those consumers, of course, asking for this type of coffees. there is an important in-home consumption in the pandemic and post-pandemic of premium coffees. They want to get a better experience at home with good and competitive products. So this is the second challenge that we're facing at this moment. A challenge or opportunity if you think of that. Because as said, we are very proud. About 400,000 of these cups of our brand Matiz are consumed every day in Colombia, while of the other brands, more than 30 million cups are consumed every day out of the mainstream coffees. This is something to also keep working on that. This means we did it and we can do that. We are bringing in a competitive product, one of the best that you have tasted. This is made with Colombian coffee because that's our value proposition in the country. Probably in other countries, if we launch it, it's going to be different. But we did it, and in volume, we are well ahead of our competitors now. So that's something that is very important. And the business case here is, the answer is, we can do it. It's something that we can do definitely. Innovation is also something very important. How we bring innovation in to our countries. If the lowest income or lower income levels, let's say that they drink most of the coffee that is consumed in the country, how we bring innovation to them. They're not going to pay $6 for a Frappuccino or for another type of product, if it's RTD. They need to pay less. So we need to be creative, but still give them the best possible product and experience. So that's one of the things. In Colombia, less than 10% of the consumers are drinking cold coffees. We are very traditional. How we change that, or how we increase coffee penetration, we need more younger generations drinking coffee. So we need to bring in experiences, competitive experiences at home and away from home. And that's a big challenge. How you develop an innovative product and still be competitive enough, for them to pay. The highest income levels, they can pay for premium coffee, or they can pay for innovations. But let me mention, we have launched a system in Colombia for capsules. It's not Keurig, sorry, Cyrille there. But more than that is the market penetration is extremely low. We cannot pay for that. But we need to keep developing and teaching the people new experiences. And that's where these companies like ours, they come. So this is very important, and this is where we should be. And what is the trend? Anyways, the trend is similar to other parts of the world. People, they want natural products. Definitely, they want less sugar. They want more customization by themselves. They want personalized products, something that they can drink and feel good at that. People are aspirational as well. So that's something that we have to think about, how we bring competitive products, how we teach them, how to drink better coffees. And definitely, as we've been discussing it in our Colombian association as well, and discussing it in the different associations that we belong to, is how we keep increasing coffee consumption. Brazil did it very well. And I said, we respect that and we admire that, and we have to learn from that. And in Colombia and the neighboring countries, we will do it. Because in North America, anyways, we are working on that. We are working how we do that. In Asia, knowing that they require something different, of course. But this is something that definitely we have to think about that. Okay. So in this case, Carlos, I wanted to bring the perspective of Latin American countries, which is not that different, if you compare it to Southeast Asian countries. Different income levels. You have to be creative. You have to give solutions to all of them if you want to grow. But definitely the opportunity is there. What are we going to do if the consumption grows? So we'll see. And we have to work all of us together, to make sure that we have enough coffee, competitive coffee, so we can deliver these solutions to the consumers. So thank you, Carlos, there.
Thank you, Francisco. Eu queria comentar a razão que nós convidamos o Francisco, que ele é o head do braço de uma empresa de alimentos. Assim como eu convidei vocês a estudarem um pouco sobre a Keurig, que eu sempre olho como uma empresa de bebida, o Grupo Nutresa é extremamente interessante, é um case extremamente interessante, um case latino-americano, uma empresa de alimentos e que trouxe várias informações interessantes, né? Ele fala um pouquinho sobre açúcar, fala sobre tendências de uma empresa de alimentos que tem um vertical de café, né? E o Francisco é o head do Grupo Café, que é parte do Grupo Nutresa. E eu queria rapidamente, Francisco, se você me permite, fazer uma pergunta. You are the head of an important coffee processing company with factories in several countries and a great experience in the instant coffee. Are you watching an increase in the use of caffeine and other coffee extractions for other purposes, like cosmetic, sport nutrition, and others? It's something that our audience should follow closely.
Thank you, Carlos, and that's a very good question, because definitely, as we have said it in the presentation, people are looking for natural products, right? Caffeine is becoming a very important, source of energy. And the only thing I can say here is that definitely, if it's natural, it's much better. So, as I said it in the beginning, this company, we invest a lot in R&D. And definitely, we're looking for solutions to consumers to give a natural energy or find solutions, for other categories. You mentioned cosmetics. Coffee has been used, not that widely, but definitely there are other options in which you can use that. So what we are researching now is how we can use natural, of course, caffeine coming from coffee, blended with the coffee, of course, to bring natural energy to the people. How we blend it and where, that's very important. So that's something that we have to bear in mind. And the answer is yes, we should be following and monitoring that closely. And definitely, probably that's one of the ways that we can innovate in the future in this category. Coffee and how we bring it more towards the energy category or energy drinks category. So the answer is totally yes.
Super, thank you. Pavel é o presidente da ABIC, dispenso apresentações. Ele vai trazer a visão do mercado brasileiro.
Tá ok? Você consegue ouvir? Boa tarde a todos. Primeiramente, Carlos, muito obrigado pela recepção, pelo convite. É uma honra para nós da ABIC fazer parte desse painel. Satisfação estar novamente com você, Cyrille. Já tivemos juntos algumas vezes. Francisco, satisfação também estar aqui fazendo parte desse valioso painel, discutindo o café do mundo inteiro. Bom, a ABIC, como todos vocês sabem, é uma entidade que, e aí eu falo não somente como presidente, eu falo orgulhoso como associado que sou há mais de 30 anos, é uma entidade que transformou o café brasileiro. Francisco, quando você fala que o Brasil é um exemplo disso, muito desse movimento se deve exatamente ao trabalho que a ABIC fez. A ABIC surgiu em 73, portanto, esse ano completamos 51 anos. Eu digo sempre que é o primeiro ano dos nossos próximos 50 anos. E transformou o café brasileiro. Hoje nós somos o segundo maior consumidor, apenas pouco mais de 5 milhões de sacas atrás dos Estados Unidos. E o desenvolvimento do consumo per capita é simplesmente impressionante. Nós saímos de 2 quilos, pouco mais de 2 quilos por habitante, lá em 89, quando criamos a primeira certificação da ABIC, que é o selo de pureza. O consumo naquela ocasião estava caindo para um consumo per capita de incríveis mais de 6 quilos, 6,4 quilos alcançados nos indicadores informados em fevereiro sobre 2023. Olha que dado interessante, o crescimento per capita aumentou 7,47% no ano passado, em 2023, em relação a 2022. É lógico que aqui a gente tem um dado de acomodação do crescimento da população brasileira, porque quando a gente trata de consumo efetivo, em volume, o crescimento foi de 1,64%. São incríveis, mais de 1.400 xícaras por habitante. Nós estamos falando aqui que cada brasileiro, cada um dos 200 milhões de brasileiros, consome em média quase 4 xícaras por dia. Esse é um número impressionante. O café está presente em 98% dos lares brasileiros. O café tem presença nesses lares em todos os estágios do seu dia, seja no café da manhã, ou mesmo após o almoço. O café reúne, o café faz parte culturalmente da família brasileira. Nós temos que lembrar aqui, já que a gente está falando para um número grande de pessoas e um público bem amplo do café, o café está no Brasil há quase 300 anos, né? O café entrou aqui em 1727, então daqui a mais 3 anos, Carlos, nós vamos completar aí 300 anos de cultura do café. E o Brasil representa, a gente sempre menciona esses dados, mais de 40% do que o mundo consome de café. Então esses dados demonstram a pujança do país enquanto país produtor, e a BIC demonstra o reflexo de quão grande virou o nosso mercado com o aumento do consumo per capita, com o desenvolvimento da qualidade do café. O compromisso de cada uma das indústrias com a entrega da qualidade, com inovação, entregando o melhor de cada xícara na casa do brasileiro, em uma variedade cada vez maior de blends. E aqui cabe mencionar o trabalho exitoso feito pelos nossos produtores em relação ao conilon. Lembremos aqui o que era o conilon 20 anos atrás. O conilon, o robusta, era utilizado como um subproduto do arábica que poucas indústrias divulgavam que era utilizado nos seus blends. Hoje nós temos o conilon robusta sendo largamente utilizado no Brasil, não somente na indústria de solúvel, mas largamente utilizado na indústria de café torrado e moído. E isso demonstra como o brasileiro está apto a experimentar novos sabores, a entregar mais riqueza de aromas, de sensoriais na xícara. Nesse gráfico é importante a gente mencionar aqui a consistência. O Hugo falou ali da consistência que o Brasil, cada produto tem que ter, né? E nós, como país consumidor de café, as nossas indústrias entregando cada vez cafés melhores aos nossos consumidores, nós tivemos momentos importantes aqui. A primeira criação do selo de pureza, lá em 89, e ali foi um marco quando a gente mudou o curso do consumo per capita de café no Brasil. Em 2004, nós criamos o PQC, e ali, Cyrille, a gente criou a categorização. Nós estamos falando de 2004, né? Algum tempo, bastante tempo atrás. Essa categorização identificou para o consumidor que café não é tudo igual. Café, existiam categorias distintas. E a partir de um movimento incrível do varejo abraçar os nossos programas, os consumidores foram gradualmente entendendo. Outro momento importante foi em 2007, quando nem se falava com essa grandiosidade sobre o ESG, Carlos. Ali nós já criamos o nosso primeiro programa de cafés sustentáveis do Brasil. E o mais recente movimento foi o ano passado, quando a gente entendeu o movimento eu não diria incipiente, mas já consistente e crescente dos cafés especiais. Então, qual o movimento aqui? A gente abraçar, a BIC hoje é uma entidade com mais de 500 associados, são mais de 500 indústrias, mas abraçar uma quantidade cada vez maior de agroindústrias, cafeterias ou mesmo baristas que criam os seus cafés, a entregar o melhor daquele café plantado de maneira excepcionalmente exitosa, numa xícara adequada. E a indústria nacional, com toda a tecnologia, a BIC com toda a expertise em industrializar o melhor dos cafés, sabe como orientar bem esse agroindustrial para extrair melhor dessa xícara e fazer dessa certificação de cafés especiais, que nasce com a parceria da BSCA, portanto, com toda a rastreabilidade, toda a certificação, toda a sustentabilidade exigida pelo novo consumidor. Aqui nós temos um movimento importante do varejo brasileiro. Nós tivemos aí uma ligeira acomodação dos cafés tradicionais e um crescimento interessante aí dos solúveis e especialmente dos cafés especiais. O nosso sentimento é que esse movimento se repete ano a ano no primeiro trimestre, primeiro quadrimestre, eu diria. mas considerando uma janela importante que nós consideramos também de uma outra medição que fazemos há mais de 3 décadas, o quilo do café na prateleira normalmente varia entre 2% e 3% do salário mínimo do brasileiro. Então, considerando essa janela, somada a uma outra variante importante, que foi o recuo de 13% nos preços da prateleira, em que pese a matéria-prima ter ficado de lado ao longo do ano passado, destoando aí somente o último trimestre que tivemos aí essa escalada impressionante, mas o aumento da matéria-prima, ela ainda não foi refletida na prateleira. Então, tivemos um recuo de 13%. Então, somamos esse dado a essa janela importante de 2% a 3% do quilo do café na prateleira contra o salário mínimo, nós enxergamos que o ano, e normalmente ele demonstra o seu vigor no segundo semestre, ele correrá bem, indicando um novo crescimento esse ano. Nós trabalhamos aí com a expectativa de crescimento acima de 1%. E aqui nós temos as tendências que a BIC vislumbra, exatamente coincidente com o que o Francisco mencionou, com o que o Cyrille destacou, que é exatamente esses desafios que a indústria nacional tem. Essa conveniência cada vez mais presente, a saúde e sustentabilidade, nós mencionamos aqui já atendendo nessa certificação recém-lançada agora em 2023, a experiência, conhecimento, as plataformas digitais, enfim, são movimentos que a indústria nacional entende e começa a entregar, com os cafés prontos para beber e uma quantidade cada vez maior de produtos à disposição do brasileiro. Essa maturidade, a produtividade e a forma como o brasileiro enxerga o café é democrático, né? Por mais que nós tenhamos aí um movimento que é natural dos cafés especiais, a gente sempre fala e menciona com bastante veemência, viu, Carlos, que café é democrático. O brasileiro tem o seu hábito de beber café. Quando a gente fala do movimento dos cafés especiais, ele não pode, no nosso entendimento, se contrapor aos cafés tradicionais. Os cafés tradicionais, os extras fortes, representam quase 90% do consumo nacional. E essa é uma forma de se consumir café que a gente tem que entender que é um movimento gradual. E os nossos associados à indústria nacional começam a enxergar, nesse primeiro dos próximos 50 anos da BIC, de entregar cafés cada vez melhores, com a riqueza maior de blends, com os ready to drinks mais próximos, mais presentes nas prateleiras. E então nós destacamos aqui um outro, eu gosto de fechar com isso, Carlos, um outro desafio importante para a indústria nacional. O Brasil, como a gente mencionou, ele representa 40% do café do mundo. Mas a gente fica, eu cito bastante esses dados, a gente fica com apenas 16% da fatia global do café. Vendo o Cyrille e o Francisco colocarem aqui os desafios das inovações que as suas empresas têm nesses mercados que atuam, fica para nós, todo o setor aqui reunido, o desafio de encontrar maneiras de agregar valor ao café brasileiro. Eu não consigo entender, e aqui eu peço desculpas aos que são presentes nesses países, falo com bastante tranquilidade sobre isso, como países que não plantam café têm uma receita muito maior nessa composição da fatia global desse comércio total do café. O Hugo colocou aqui o desafio importante, essa marca Cafés do Brasil, para vocês terem uma ideia, a BIC teve o desafio de, muito embora buscar, naquela ocasião, 2013 e 2014, de registrar essa marca Cafés do Brasil. Nós conseguimos registrar essa marca em todo o planeta, porque senão essa marca iria parar em outro país. Quer dizer, temos o desafio de desenvolver valor agregado ao café brasileiro e daqui exportar também em forma de produto acabado. Esse é um desafio que a indústria entende que permeará os próximos passos desses próximos 50 anos da nossa entidade, com a maturidade cada vez maior. Sejam em diversidade de blends, sejam storytellings, com produtos com sustentabilidade, com valor, com rastreabilidade, mas também produtos que tenham os ready to drinks à disposição, porque sabemos do tamanho desse mercado, como o Cyrille aqui bem colocou. Então fica o desafio para todos nós, indústria nacional, produtores, traders, de fazer com que a indústria nacional, que hoje é um exemplo, menciono aqui Francisco, esses programas da ABIC, eles são reconhecidos pela OIC e espelhados para mais de 60 países. Então, a gente se coloca à disposição de conversarmos para que a gente consiga dar esse espelhamento e desenvolver o consumo per capita também na Colômbia ou nos países onde vocês atuam. Fica aqui novamente, Carlos, o meu agradecimento e seguimos à disposição de todo o setor para juntos formarmos uma cadeia cada vez maior do café brasileiro.
Pavel, super obrigado, parabéns. Eu queria comentar um pouco a abordagem do Hugo, né? O Hugo trouxe isso, que nós precisamos ter mais orgulho dos nossos cases. E a ABIC é um case maravilhoso. Às vezes a vida corrida não permite que a gente ande no supermercado com um pouco mais de atenção, com um pouco mais de paciência. Mas eu convido vocês a olharem com calma essa gôndola do supermercado brasileiro e ver o trabalho que está sendo tão bem feito dos membros da ABIC. É fascinante a quantidade de informação e a quantidade de inovação. Nós temos aspectos regionais, nós temos sim inovação em embalagem. Pavel, de novo, parabéns e muito obrigado pela colaboração. Como falamos aqui localmente, te devo mais uma. E eu queria aproveitar, Pavel, e te fazer uma pergunta. Recentemente temos visto a agenda de cobertura das empresas muito impactadas pela mão forte dos diretores financeiros, que em consequência das altas taxas de juros, vem direcionando as torrefações a reduzir os seus níveis de cobertura. Olhando somente para o mercado brasileiro, o que você pode falar para nós? Qual era o nível de cobertura, talvez em semanas, e qual é a cobertura média que você acredita que tem os membros da ABIC?
A gente tem que lembrar aqui que a partir de outubro do ano passado, a gente teve um movimento impressionante, uma escalada nos preços puxados aí, como todos sabendo, inicialmente no último trimestre do ano passado, por conta de uma expectativa de dois fatores que combinados trouxeram esses preços para níveis preocupantes ali, preocupantes que eu falo pela velocidade com que escalou, que era exatamente altas temperaturas, uma estiagem que não chovia num momento importante de florada, e esse movimento que parecia se arrefecer em janeiro, teve outro ramp-up que eu diria deixou todos nós impressionados, que foi notadamente causado por essas movimentações fruto do El Niño no Vietnã. Sem falar nessa questão do frete que houve por lá, que impactou nos fretes e tal, nos preços desses cafés que chegavam até a Europa. Então, o nosso sentimento é que a indústria nacional teve uma expectativa de que haveria algum arrefecimento, haja visto o tamanho da safra que se avizinhava ali em janeiro, e fez uma aposta, eu diria, como todos nós enxergamos, de uma possível acomodação daquela escalada ali do último trimestre. Então, a partir de fevereiro, quando essa escalada por conta do Vietnã já aconteceu, as indústrias se viram, eu diria, no momento mais short de toda a sua história. Esses números são muito proprietários, as empresas não compartilham esses dados, faz parte das suas estratégias e a entidade se reserva a condição de uma maneira geral, dar um indicativo do que acontece. Então, com a expectativa de safra, esse movimento de short acabou trazendo uma preocupação adicional. O que a gente sente é que qualquer momento de realização em bolsa, como vimos aí nessa semana passada, aí naturalmente essa cobertura amplia. E esse é o trabalho que internamente sempre existe nas empresas, né? Seja no financeiro ou nas equipes de suprimento, é uma dualidade que sempre existe. Mas enxergado esses momentos que nós tivemos no último trimestre do ano passado e nesses 3 meses de 2024, o recado que fica e o sentimento que a gente tem é que qualquer movimento de realização, as indústrias estão trazendo para níveis um pouco mais longos, exatamente para proteger as suas margens e naturalmente dar um um repasse mais alongado, sem movimentos de grande alteração brusca para o trade, que naturalmente faz o seu papel muito bem de reter a inflação e segurar esses aumentos. O desafio que fica aqui agora é o tamanho dessa safra, movimentos de mais ou menos chuvas ali no Vietnã, para que com esse dimensionamento a gente tenha movimentos menos voláteis. E isso é o grande X da questão, é a pergunta do milhão, né? Que todos nós queremos saber e lidamos com ela todos os dias. Mas, considerando esse histórico passado, do último trimestre do ano passado, eu diria que fica o recado, e as indústrias estão fazendo esse dever de casa, de se posicionar um pouco mais longo a partir de quaisquer quedas que hajam.
Bacana, obrigado, Pavel. A organização tá me comentando aqui que a gente está próximo de estourar o tempo. Então a gente subiu 2 perguntas em função da forma como elas chegaram, então a gente vai respeitar a ordem. We have a question for you, Cyrille. 70% do café utilizado em seus produtos vem do Brasil. No comercial da cápsula é destacado o café colombiano. Na sua opinião, como podemos reverter isso? And be ready, because the Brazilians, we always want more, huh? So 70% is not enough. What can you tell us?
Yeah, thanks for the question. That's a good one. So just to re-clarify what I mentioned by Brazil is the #1 origin in terms of volume and spends, and it goes in 70% of our blends, which is quite a lot, and that shows also about how reliable is Brazil as an origin for us in terms of quality, in terms of logistics, in terms of an origin. But I just want to reflect what has been mentioned yesterday in terms of concentrations of risk. As an industry, we're always trying to diversify our risk, making sure that we can source the coffee from Brazil, but also source the coffee from all the origins, so we can have access to different profile, and not to concentrate too much the risk. But I have to say, I'm very bullish Brazil. As a business, we just opened an office in Virginia just on Monday. Very proud and feeling very privileged to have an office in Virginia, the epicenter, what we believe is now the coffee growing area in South Minas. Why? Because we want to have a more direct access to local exporters, to the Brazilian coffee community. And also we believe we're only buying 4 qualities for the time being from Brazil, but we believe there is so much more we can have access from Brazil. There is so much innovations you can see in as a consuming market, but also as producers. I mean, there is a tremendous level of innovations taking place in Brazil. So does that mean we'll be using more Brazils? I think so. But also trying to bring innovations, trying to bring new ways of working, and also embracing the way that Brazil is proven to be I would say reliable origins, not just for the quality, but also from the logistic perspective. And also we have a responsibly sourcing journey. What we want to embrace, be a force for good for the coffee community. We need to deliver some objective in terms of carbon reductions, and also deforestations, livelihood goals, and even due diligence in human rights. So there is a lot that we need to do. And as a respective, I would say, responsible business, coffee industry from the pure coffee side, and we believe Brazil can provide us a tremendous amount of value. So that's why we are here, super proud to be here. This is a big deal for the US-based operations to open an office in our origin country, and we started with Brazil because we believe this is where there is plenty of opportunity for us.
Thank you, Cyrille. E nós vamos encaminhar mais uma pergunta para o Pavel, que está relacionada com a flexibilidade da indústria local. E aí já vou parcialmente responder a pergunta, porque a pergunta está relacionada se houve uma mudança do percentual de arábica, perdão, na percentual de conilon para arábica. E aí o dado das tradings confirma isso, né, que houve uma mudança, um certo consenso entre os grandes traders de que o blend local ele mudou ao redor de 80% de uso de robusta para hoje um pouco menos de 50%. Então, estou respondendo a pergunta porque é um dado de que, como um todo, os jogadores no Brasil consideram. E aí, aproveitando para fazer uma pergunta para você, Pavel, como está sendo a reação do consumidor a essa oscilação, essa flexibilidade no blend?
Carlos, de fato houve uma movimentação. A gente, novamente, preserva os dados dos associados, não há uma indicativa, mas, como você bem mencionou, são dados que são bem factíveis de se mensurar e consolidar. Nós temos, até pelo advento de um movimento que hoje vivemos, que é a regulamentação do mapa, através da portaria 570, já em vigor desde o ano passado, e a partir de julho desse ano, as indústrias locais, todas as nossas indústrias, terão que estampar a rotulagem indicando a predominância arábica ou robusta. Então, hoje há um entendimento em geral de que há predominância arábica, sim. E o sentimento que nós enxergamos é que a indústria ela preserva muito a qualidade de cada blend entregue ao consumidor. E com muita tecnologia embarcada, muito conhecimento durante o processo produtivo, curva de torra, a entrega desses blends com alterações em curva de torra, tipos de moagem, entrega exatamente aquilo que o consumidor espera. Então, esse é o entendimento que nós temos, que com o conhecimento de larga escala, por longo tempo que nós temos com o consumidor, e cada indústria localmente, as nacionalmente, dos seus respectivos consumidores, respeitando cada um dos produtos que estão devidamente nichados e posicionados nas prateleiras, não há qualquer tipo de questionamento do consumidor, porque isso é efetivamente corrigido e entregue o que se espera na xícara. O fato é que o Brasil, produzindo essa quantidade e essa qualidade, a gente consegue transformar isso na boa xícara que hoje é consumido na mesa do brasileiro.
Poxa, fantástico, Pavel. Mais um case nosso, né? Essa indústria, esse industrial brasileiro. Só lembrando para quem está no auditório, que não é do setor de café, o Brasil é o segundo maior consumidor. E certamente tem profissionais que trabalham esses aspectos de torra e outros aspectos, de novo, para respeitar o que a gente viu nos outros mercados, que é o consumidor. Então, poxa, bacana, obrigado pela resposta. Nós estamos indo para o final. Eu peço desculpa por a gente não ter respondido todas as perguntas, mas em respeito ao horário, a gente vai precisar encerrar. Eu gostaria de mais uma vez agradecer a participação de todos, em nome da Associação Comercial. Um seminário, eu sempre falo que um seminário tem 2 produtos, né? O papel nosso era de trazer o conteúdo, né? Então, a organização, do meu ponto de vista, fez um trabalho fantástico de ter os nossos amigos aqui e em todos os outros painéis. Então, esse trabalho eu acho que foi bem feito, mas eu queria agradecer cada participante, porque o segundo produto de um seminário é o network, né? E esse formato permitiu que o network acontecesse, permitiu que o que a gente falou em todos os painéis, o diálogo, né? É importante a gente construir diálogo. Os desafios estão aí, os problemas estão aí para serem resolvidos. Então, esse formato permitiu isso. Então, o seminário só tem sucesso dependendo dos senhores. E, mais uma vez, obrigado a participação de cada um por ter se deslocado. Nesse sentido, eu queria reforçar que a gente está dentro de um seminário sustentável. A organização acabou de me atualizar. Até o momento, nós temos 409,4 toneladas de CO2, fruto desse seminário. Nós vamos estar mitigando inicialmente com um parceiro que é a Bluebell, através de ativos ambientais. E depois nós vamos estar estimulando os membros da associação comercial para trocar a sua matriz energética. E aí, como eu tentei explicar no primeiro dia, após um ano, se a gente não tiver todas as nossas emissões mitigadas, nós fizemos um compromisso público de aprovar projetos, muito provavelmente ligados à agricultura regenerativa, para que a gente invista o saldo não mitigado até então, para que a gente realmente tenha um seminário totalmente neutralizado. Nesse sentido, é um dos papéis da Associação Comercial de Santos. A nossa pretensão, através desse evento, é que Santos tem uma vocação incrível para o turismo de evento. Então, nós queremos ser reconhecidos não somente como um hub logístico, mas também, por que não, um centro de turismo de evento sustentável. Mais uma vez, obrigado a todos e espero que a gente tenha uma excelente noite.